Good evening, people of the world. Hi there. It is the hours that are office, and tried something new today. A little something new, a little boogaloo for you. I am streaming this on Substack. If you are watching this on Substack, I cannot tell. I guess I could. But yeah, I don't know if there's if you're trying to send me a chat or a message or anything on Substack. I'm using StreamYard. StreamYard does not include the Substack or Patreon chats in its unified chat. Magandang umaga, Raymond. Good to see you. So I am keeping an eye on Patreon. I don't know where the Substack chat shows up. I'm sure I could find out if I spent more than 2 seconds, but I would also probably lose my mind if I was trying to watch Substack, Patreon, and Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn chats all at the same time. So I am gonna just say thank you, Substack folks. I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing this there, but there's a stream key and I figured I'd try it out. Ryan got the Patreon notification about the stream, but not the Twitch notification about the stream. I do not know why. I do not know why that would be. But yeah, we got a nice crowd. Good to see y'all. Thanks for coming. I hope you get the price of admission, which is free. Okay, I am going to pull up my electronic mail. Have you guys heard of this? It instead of delivering a letter, like a physical letter to you, it sends the letters themselves individually through what's called an interconnected network. And then you get them on your computer, and your assistant can print them out and bring them to you immediately. But a mail person does not have to bring them to you. It's quite amazing. I knew somebody who actually worked for a producer at a cable television network, and they were stunned that this person had their assistant print up all their emails every morning and put them in their inbox. Well, when I say their inbox, I mean literally a box, little, wire box, and they'd print all the emails and put them in there. And then I guess when they wanted to respond, they just write out a response, and then the assistant had to type it. I don't know. I don't know how that part worked. Hey, Psycho Motors. Ooh, yeah, Amish Overlord. I don't have an assistant to print out my emails, so I have to slum it and read them directly on the computer. Computer. Yes, G. James B. Each letter in its own packet. All right. It's Mailbag Day. So I'm going to look at some of the posts and emails that we got through the mail, and I will then remark upon them for you. Oh, Nick with a C has his assistant print them on his screen. Print screen. That's what that button's for. Now I know. Your assistant is named Firefox. Interesting. All right. Let's go all the way back to September 30th. Scott. Oh, I was talking about Danny Dunn books on one of the streams. And Scott Baker sent me screenshots of his classic Danny Dunn covers. Scott said, I've always been amazed over the years when there's a discussion on DTNS and you just reach over and pull whatever random item is being discussed off the shelf. So I enjoy those rare times when I can do the same. Behold, Danny Dunn and the Fossil Cave, Danny Dunn and the Swamp Monster, Danny Dunn, the mysterious... Oh, that's Susan Myers, the Mysterious Bender Bones. I threw in the Mysterious Bender Bones because I got it at the same time. I'm sure I never read all 15 of the Danny Dunn books, but these are the only two I have. When I heard you mention them at the end of the editor's desk, I was able to immediately pull them off the bookcase. I'll take random children's books from the 60s and 70s for $500. Alex, let me see if I can pull up one of these without giving away anyone's email address that they have not agreed to do. Oh yeah, I could. No, I want to save them to my own hard drive, not to Google Photos. I mean, that's nice and all. But yeah, here we go. Okay. Now it can be told. Yes. All right, let's see. Can I share that screen? Can I share that screen? Entire screen. Oh, geez. No. No, I apparently cannot, because I turned off, so that I could watch Apple TV, I turned off screen capture. What if I do this? Yeah, there we go. And then okay, so I'm saving it to my Google Drive. And then I can go into my Google Drive and turn it. Then you'll just see titles of my Google Drive docs in the background. But that's better. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Share screen. Recent Google Drive. There we go. Danny Dunn. That was a lot of work just to show Danny Dunn in the fossil cave. But there you go. Aren't you glad you waited? Hey, Howard, when you say no activity over on Patreon, that doesn't mean you can't see the stream, right? It just means nobody's talking over there. All right. I'm going to stop sharing because I don't want that to accidentally become me sharing my email. But thank you, Scott, for sending that along. And I'm sorry I made such a meal out of showing off that screenshot of Danny Dunn in the fossil cave. I won't even try to show Danny Dunn in the swamp monster. This is because I had to turn off screen capture, because with screen capture on, I can't watch Apple TV stuff on my own computer. So I could go turn screen capture back on, I guess. Clinton says, greetings from a cruise ship off the coast of Canada. Wi-Fi, but chat works, so just here long enough to say hello. Oh, that's very nice. So he can't watch. Someone tell him I say hello. Hello, Clinton. Here, I'll tell him myself. Hello, Clinton. All right. Next one from John Murray III. Great hangout. Thank you. Listen, if somebody says something positive, someone goes to the trouble of saying something positive, I'm going to pay attention, because people tend to write angry more often than they write friendly. Toby Roberts wrote, Friday Hangout praise. Insane value from the Friday Hangout discussion around Sora. What a bunch of brains around a table. More of this for sure. Thanks for making me smarter. People seem to really like our Friday Hangouts. Leaving those in the live stream, the DTNS live feed. Howard's here right now. Also, Howard is he's everywhere. He's right here too.
The DTNS.
But it's not the end of the show, so I'm not going to play that. He writes, my wife and I were at dinner the other night. Someone relayed to me how their TikTok account had been compromised. Since they were a budding creator who was now starting to earn significant revenue, they were frustrated at the lack of speed in getting their account restored. After my usual suggestion for a password manager and use of passkeys, the overall subject of identity management arose. After a brief discussion about the U.S. government's login.gov and how no one there felt it was trustworthy enough for use for anything else, I mentioned the Solid project founded by Tim Berners-Lee and similar projects. I wonder if it would be time for a Know a Little More or a weekend interview on this subject, as I know that it would certainly help me be a little smarter at friends' dinner tables. By the way, feel free to use this wherever is appropriate. Gotcha. So that means I need to make a reminder in my Know a Little More topics list. Come on, Solid. You know what? I'm going to shoot for the moon, and I'm going to see if I can get Tim Berners-Lee. I'm going to just email whoever it is you email and say like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about this. Now, maybe it's not a Know a Little More. Maybe it ends up just being an interview. But yeah, honestly, I keep running into examples where I'm like, if we had something like Solid, this would not be a problem. The one that occurred to me the other day was junk mail. Well, not exactly junk mail, actually. It wasn't junk mail. It was just mail. I just said junk mail because almost all of the mail I get is junk mail. But postal service, mail, envelopes, letters that come into your mailbox. So if anybody doesn't know what Solid is that Howard's talking about, the idea is it's a decentralized identity provider. So all the things about you that you use to identify yourself on the internet are contained in a place that is under your control. And that could be anything from just your name, your age, your address, your email address, all those things you fill in on forms when you sign up for something. They could all be in one place. It could also be your personalization stuff, like your preferences, your browsing history, stuff like that. And the idea is that you have it under your control. And the Solid system is built, and there are similar systems to it, to let you decide who gets access to what parts of your information. So if you're signing up for something, you're like, they can have my name and email address, but nothing else, then that's it. However, let's say there's a trustworthy service that will give you better shopping recommendations if they know your browsing history. You can say, you know what? They can see my browsing history. They can see my preferences. That's fine. And the key is, you're like, well, what if that changes? What if that service changes its policies or sells to somebody untrustworthy? With Solid, you can shut it off. You could say, you know what? You don't get access to that anymore. And because the data is under your control, they don't have it. It's not on their servers. And so that's the ideal way it works, is that all of your data about you, this is the thing I think people have a hard time wrapping their heads around, is in your control. And you can turn it on or off at any time. Don't like Facebook anymore? Don't let them have your browsing history. Don't let them have your preferences. Don't let them even have your home address. Don't let them have your phone number anymore. Now, immediately I can feel like the objection is like, yeah, but once they have access, they'll just copy it, right? They could. It's an infinitely copyable medium after all. There are ways that Solid works to limit the possibility of that, right? So the idea is that they ask for data and it is delivered in a way so that it's not easy for them to copy. Doesn't stop them, because once they have the data, they can then take it and do whatever they want with it, right? But it makes it easier for companies to just access the Solid system to get the data than to try to keep it themselves, right? It becomes costly in time and processing to do that. Not a lot costly, but like if you're a good actor, then you wouldn't do that because it doesn't make sense. And bad actors could be audited and get caught doing it. And you have bad actors today who are gathering information that is against the law for them to gather. So it'd be no different than that. Maybe you do need a law to back it up, or maybe just public shaming is enough. But yes, it is. But that is no different than today, and actually better than today, because right now, all of your information, all your tracking is kept on their servers, right? It's all under their control. So you have no control over it. You'd have at least more control in a Solid type system than you would if it's out there. And the next question that people usually have about something like Solid is, well, hold on. How do I make sure that someone can't break into this data and steal it, right? I'm going to keep all my identification information. That is a very good and pertinent question that needs to be well addressed by any service like Inrupt. Inrupt is a company that has been set up to try to commercialize Solid service. One thing Solid does is makes it possible for you to run your own Solid container, just like you can run your own web server yourself. So those who are technically savvy enough could do that. They could run the server themselves. And then if it gets stolen, it's your own fault, right? That's the problem, is like, well, but then you're in charge of the security of it. Solid also has built-in end-to-end encryption and all of that sort of thing to make it difficult that if someone were to get into your database without authorization, they wouldn't be able to read it. And of course, if you're going to have services then those services need to be held to the same high level of scrutiny that banks are, where it's like, well, if you're going to handle my money, you better not let just anybody get into my account. So that is the idea. That is a very much longer description of Solid than I was expecting to give. But that's the idea with Solid is you have your own data under your control. You can decide who gets to access it. You can revoke access anytime you want. It is secure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so anyway, to get back to the mail example that I started this long explanation about, I was looking at mail the other day and thinking about, gosh, I am not looking forward to the day I move again, because I'm not fooling myself. I'm not going to be in this house for the rest of my life. At least I hope, because that would imply that I die sooner than I expect. But I'm like, eventually we're going to move. I'm not planning to move, but I just know, like, we're going to leave this house, and I'm not looking forward to all of the change of address that you have to do. Now, here in the U.S., you can fill out a change of address form, and the post office will notify people for you. That mostly works, but for really important stuff, you want to make sure that you do it yourself. You know what it was? I was looking at a subscription coffee thing that I get. That's what tipped me off. I was looking at a subscription coffee thing, and I was thinking, like, oh, that's one you have to make sure that you go and tell them, because the USPS change of address may not get to them. And you want to make sure you get your coffee because you're paying for it, right? And just all the different things that you have to do. I'm like, if we had Solid and everyone was participating in it, I could change my address in one place. Done. You've changed your address for everyone. Everyone who ships to you, the idea would be, in a world where this has become pervasive and it's what everybody does, your shipping address in most places is your Solid shipping address, and you just change it there. Boom. Changed everywhere. Done. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, thank you, Howard. That's a good idea. And I'm going to see what I can do about getting a good interview about that, because, man, it would solve so many problems. And if passkey, which I know a lot of people are confused by, a lot of people are upset by, the rollout is not consumer friendly enough. So a lot of people look at it, even tech savvy people are like, I don't know, man, seems like a lot of work. Eventually it won't be. It's the transition that's work. But if passkey can get through this, it's a good pointer to be like, well, then maybe we need an identity management thing too, because passkey can work in tandem with it. All right. Charles says, Amazon Echo early account access. So we were talking about the fact that I don't have the new improved version of Alex A. And I'm assuming that I won't get it until like the day before my new Amazon Echo comes, because the new Amazon Echoes automatically unlock it for you. And I was like, I assume that unlocks it for all my devices once it's unlocked. Charles wrote, we have been enjoying early access for about a week now. I don't remember signing up for it. I just got an email a little over a week ago telling us we were accepted for the early access program. I bought a new Fire TV Cube this summer because our old Fire TV stick went out, so maybe that's why we were granted early access. When I agreed, I looked in the terms and conditions, and it did not mention anywhere about a $20 a month fee for the service. Maybe that's because we're still in early access. I don't think the service is worth $20 a month. Maybe $2, and that's a maybe. So far, I've noticed we have a better voice. Interestingly, it's not the same voice on our compatible devices. It's slightly different on each device. We have 3 compatible devices. I've noticed that it understands us better. I can also have a continuous conversation with it, though I keep having to prompt it with the wake up word to continue the conversation, which is a little awkward. I don't think the changes to the app are an improvement, and for me, they make the app harder to use. It's only been a week, so maybe it'll get better, and it'll become a service we can't live without. Who knows? It sounded like he was being positive until the end when he was like, I think it makes it harder to use. I also don't understand the wake word thing, because the whole idea of the continuing conversation is that you didn't have to keep saying the wake word. Anyway, I asked him, I was like, wait, the $20 thing, do you subscribe to Amazon Prime? He said, yeah, I'm a Prime member. It looks like there's no fee for the early access for the voice assistant. But yes, if you are an Amazon Prime member, you will get the new improved Alex A at no additional cost. It's $20 a month if you want to buy it alone, if you don't want anything else. If you don't want the free shipping and all of that stuff. So that's what that is about. And thank you, Charles, for the feet on the ground report on that. All right. Anand Jr. said, I'll second asking for a look at the publishing process. I've been wondering just how automated you can make publishing across platforms without just shelling out money for a service that promises to do it for you. Wasn't that the promise of RSS? So I can't do I'm not prepared, I should say, to do a full look into the publishing process. And I know that Joe does it a little differently than I would do it. But the way we publish is pretty manual. We publish to Acast, and then Acast does feed a lot of things. So we don't have to publish to all the different podcast apps. The RSS feed from Acast is picked up by all of them. So when we publish on Acast, it then shows up on Apple Podcasts, and it shows up on Spotify, and it shows up on iHeartRadio and Pocket Casts and Overcast, and anywhere fine RSS feeds are done. So that is a big chunk. YouTube, on the other hand, does not pick up RSS feeds from Acast because it's not a podcast app. So with YouTube, we have to go in and we have to add an RSS feed that's not Acast, or it'll get blocked because YouTube and Acast don't agree on certain things regarding advertising. And what we've done there is we have our Acast RSS goes to Headliner. Headliner takes it, adapts it, turns it into a video post, and then posts it to YouTube. So when you get the thing on YouTube, that's what that is. It's gone through a service called Headliner, which adapts it and then posts it. Then there's Patreon, which you have to post to separately. So we have to do all of it again. We have to upload, put in the metadata and everything on Patreon. That will go to everybody's Patreon accounts. We just tick off, this goes to paid members, or, if it's the bonus episode, this goes to the co-executive and up tiers, all that stuff. So that's Patreon. That's the podcast. Then we have to post to Substack separately. There's probably a script we could write, or ChatGPT could write, to automate some of this. But again, go to Substack, put in the head, the deck, metadata, all that, publish it there, boom. And then there's WordPress. So then we go to WordPress, we make a blog post, we embed the Acast, we link to YouTube, done and done. So that's the publishing process for a given episode of DTNS. Now, if there's a video like DTNS Live, there's also a publishing process to upload it to an FTP server that Dan operates for us. And then we also put it on the Spotify video service as well, which is separate from the audio that goes into Spotify. Spotify is very confusing in that way. You can publish things directly in Spotify that only exist on Spotify, but then you can also publish things in Spotify that other people can get as an RSS feed, which is what we're doing there. And then you can publish things on Spotify without being in Spotify because they just pick up the RSS feed. It's very interesting. If it's a YouTube video, then we also have to upload it separately to YouTube, except for the Headliner stuff that I was talking about. And yeah. Nick with a C, another question. Should I keep my Twitch subscription for DTNS or switch over to Patreon? As in, which one gives you a better cut, better audience figures, etc.? Patreon, by far. We make very little off of Twitch. On the other hand, we do want to grow that audience. So I hesitate to ever tell someone to cut out anything, but you will get more if you're on Patreon. Yeah, and Howard's like, if you can, do both. That's true, especially if you can do the Prime thing, then it doesn't cost you any extra. But if you don't have Prime, I understand that. Anyway, there you go, Anand Jr. There's a little bit about the publishing process, but if anybody has other questions about it, please let us know. All right. Oh, this is great. This is old. This is from August, but I never got to show it. Oh, geez, it's the same thing though. You know what? I think I can probably, yeah, there we go. I can do this. I just have to be very careful. Let me show a DTNS mug in action. Yeah. So this is from, hold on. This is from Ben. Ben is at work. And I'm going to crop out Ben's screen. This was sent in August too. But he's using the pure DTNS glass that we sell on the store with the Scott Johnson design for the glass. And he's having a frosty beverage in there. I think it's a soda or a sarsaparilla. I don't know. I'll take a look in a second. But there you go. There is the pure DTNS glass in action in the wild. And a big thank you to Ben for sending that along. Weekend aviation nerdery is what he was doing. He says, oh, that was a Lagunitas Maximus. Helping him experiment with a new ADS-B antenna rig he was putting together after moving house a couple weekends ago. Being under the western approach corridor to O'Hare brings in a lot of interesting traffic and a fun intersection of aviation radio and maker tech. Yeah, that was right before Experiment Week that he sent that. Ben, I'm sorry it took us so long to acknowledge that, but that was great. Thank you so much for that. All right, I think that's all the mails in the mailbag for now. Keep them coming, though. Let us know, especially if you got follow-up questions on anything around this. We'd love to hear it. Thank you for being along for the ride. What else is up? What else are y'all doing? Let's check some feeds. This is something I do multiple times throughout the day. Is take a look at my Feedly feed. Make that bigger. No, Taylor Swift did not make it about herself at Selena Gomez's wedding. Oh, this is, I think this is LA Times. All right, Gemini 2.5. Salesforce tells clients it will not pay hackers for data extortion. Good to know. Lower cost Model Y. Yeah, I heard about that. It's slightly lower cost. JPEG 84, again, it depends on what your finances are and what you want. If you go to Patreon, you get more. And if you are an Amazon Prime person, you can still give us a subscription through Amazon Prime that won't cost you extra. But you definitely get more on Patreon, and we keep more of it, and it goes directly into helping us. So I, again, don't want people to stop supporting in any way that they can. More like Model Y. Opal coming to 15 more countries. That's Google's vibe coding thing. All this OpenAI investment is good for the stock market. No shock there. Cardinals could cut ties with All-Star. Why don't they just put the person's name up there? Come on, Post-Dispatch. You're not going to make me click. Photographers are losing their jobs faster than software engineers. Huh. Where's this from? Let's see. That was link bait. I'm glad that didn't show up automatically. It was to a photography website. Starlink rival gets rare cell. Oh, okay. AST Space Mobile getting some interest. This is all stock market stuff, though, not really tech. All right. Okay. So not much new news there. Let's look at Google. I usually do this in the morning only, but I figure I'll do it here so you can kind of see the process when I do office hours. That's kind of the idea. Yeah, Stealth Dave says, I give my money on Patreon and Jeff Bezos' money on Twitch. Or is it Andy Jassy's money now? Prime Day deals, speaking of. Secretive AI. Oh, yeah, this Johnny Ive OpenAI thing we covered yesterday on DTNS, not this morning, and it is still burning up the charts. Google is committed to earning back your trust. Yeah, it's all Prime Day stuff. Kind of a slow news day. Yeah, Microsoft shut down another account workaround for creating a Windows 11 login without using a Microsoft account. I don't know how I feel about this. It was so hard for most people to do that I don't think this really affects a whole lot of people anymore. But it was a way to use command line. Let you set up your PC with a local account instead of your Microsoft account. However, in Windows Insider Preview, this actually stopped a few configurations from happening. So Microsoft has announced it is removing a known mechanism for creating a local account in the Windows setup experience. Microsoft said these workarounds inadvertently skip critical setup screens, potentially causing users to exit OOBE with a device that is not fully configured for use. I'll get to that in a second, Nick. That's an interesting question. The removed commands include bypass NRO. These are all terminal or command line things. It's unclear what critical setup screens Microsoft was referring to. It still shows you all the screens you need for creating an account and password, plus a few basic privacy settings. Windows setup process is generally required an internet connection and Microsoft account sign-in since Windows 11 22. H2, since 2022, second half of the year. Before this, some of the later Windows 10 releases had required sign-in. Windows builds released are all early previews, so this could change. Microsoft doesn't want you to do this, essentially. So, again, it kind of sucks, and I don't love it, but it was a very small number of people that actually did it, especially because managed, it doesn't affect managed introductions. So enterprise level accounts were, this is just home users who like to hack around the Microsoft account system. Let's take a look. So Nick with a C asks, is Windows 7 really seeing a jump in usage? Oh, thank you, Gotham Heights. I'm glad the camera's looking sharp. All right. Windows 7 usage. Let's see if there's news. Windows 7 skyrocketed last month as users refused to move to Windows 11. No, Windows 7 isn't gaining market share. Okay, let's see. Let's go Windows Central. I trust Windows Central. StatCounter reported that Windows 7 gained 10% market share in the last month, just as Windows 10 support comes to an end. Windows StatCounter is gaining market share. As of this week, Windows 7 is now in use on 9.61% of Windows PCs. For years, Windows 7 has hovered around 2%. StatCounter isn't an entirely accurate measure when it comes to actual usage numbers. Windows 11 market share stalled in the last month. Windows 10 continued to drop. Okay, so Windows Central saying, I don't know, StatCounter says. And then what does Windows Latest say? I don't know these guys. I've seen them before. Suggests Windows 7 market share increased to 9.61% from 0.8%, particularly in Asia. StatCounter, okay, so they're taking issue with StatCounter because it installs tracking code. Right now, StatCount numbers, including Windows 7 market share, are calculated by aggregating billions of page views recorded each month from its tracking code installed on websites. When you visit a web page that uses StatCounter, it reads your browser user agent, which tells it whether you're on Windows 7, 10, or 11. AI bots and crawlers often inflate numbers, which are removed or corrected by StatCounter over time. Is a reporting error, and we've seen reasons to refute the claim. All right, so what is Windows Latest saying the reasons are? On the first published September 2025 news, including Windows version, in older reports, Windows 7 share was 0.8, increased to 3.35 in August, jumped to 9.61 in September, tripled in the last month. What might have caused this? Incorrectly reporting 7, likely due to a regression in OS detection triggered by Chromium's user agent reduction. It could be the data mislabeling ambiguous Windows as Windows 7, or it's possible some new crawlers spoof Windows NT 6.1 or old tokens. Okay. So he's like, there could be another explanation, which is some bot out there is reporting itself as Windows 7. Where do you find a Windows 7 ISO? It's practically impossible for Windows 7 to search. Now, this one I will back. The other one, it's speculation. Like, I don't know, maybe somebody did a thing that is filling the reports. But if 9% of StatCounter's stats are from a bot, that would be a problem as well. But it has to be something because it's really hard to get Windows 7 these days. I don't believe thousands of users would wake up one day and go back to using Windows 7. StatCounter showed Google losing market share in 2024, but it was a reporting glitch. Okay. So you know what? Here's what I would say. I think that the reporting on this is that StatCounter, here's how I would report this. StatCounter showed a jump in Windows 7 market share in September. StatCounter's numbers are based on the user agent ID reported by browsers. It is unlikely that thousands of people suddenly started using Windows 7. Other likely explanations would be bots using Windows 7 in their user agent, or a change in how Chrome identifies unidentified Windows user agents, plunking them all in 7. That's actually the most likely. That last is the most likely, which is Chrome used to say Win and now says Win 7 when it doesn't know which Windows it is. It's just like, I don't know which Windows it is. Let's call it 7. I could see that being true. I don't know that that's true. I could see that being true. Nick with a C, that's one box with Windows 7. But how many people have it? How many people are going to go to the trouble to make it their daily driver instead of continuing on Windows 10? Instead of continuing, Windows 10 isn't stopping working. It's just not supported. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. StreamYard doesn't parse that me command very well, does it? It just says action. Yeah. Emulators and Wine could skew numbers. It seems a big increase for it just to be that, Stealth Dave. But yeah, I think we'll find out. It's probably a data error. It could be a StatCounter error. Could be bot inflation. My bet is that it's a change in a browser, particularly Chrome browser user agent ID. I would look for something like that. But yeah, it doesn't look like anyone. I don't think that anyone has had. People are too excited to get happy about Windows 7 suddenly rising in the face of Windows 10 going out of support, because Windows 7's out of support too. So this doesn't really make sense. There's something else. There's something else going on. That's what I think. UFS 5.0 storage promises to be twice as fast. Hopefully enticing Google Pixel. Why hopefully enticing Google Pixel? 9 to 5 Google. Finally adopted UFS 4.1. US 5 has been announced with storage. Oh, that hopefully it entices them to adopt it. Okay. I see. Apple's continuing failing repair score with the AirPods Pro. You know, okay, I did end up getting the AirPods Pro 3. I don't love that there's not a pairing button on the case, but I understand you can tap the front. I haven't tried it. I need to try it with my Pixel. I'm not looking forward to it. They do seem to fit in my ear a little better, although I never really had a problem with them in my ear before, but I do feel they are more secure. The active noise cancellation is improved. The world goes a little too quiet. In fact, that's one of the problems is I got scared by a car the other day coming out of a side street garage because I had the active noise cancellation on and I didn't hear it. But it's definitely improved. Haven't had a chance to try live translation yet. Audio quality is arguably better. If you don't need live translation, if you are fine with current active noise cancellation, and if you're not on iPhone If any of the one of the if you don't need live translation, then you don't. That would be one reason. If there was no other reason, if you're fine with your current active noise cancellation, or you're not on iPhone anyway, I don't understand why people are so excited about it. They're good. They're good. I'm not trying to trash them. I'm just saying, I don't know that you have to get them. If you're on AirPods, first generation, you've never had AirPods and you have an iPhone, sure. I don't find them to be that much better. And everyone I respect disagrees with me. So this is me being an iconoclast. AltStore raises $6 million to connect. Oh yeah, connect. I wanted to take a look at this. AltStore is an EU marketplace and is preparing to connect its platform to the Fediverse, like Mastodon, etc. Flipboard CEO joining the board. New capital will help him capitalize on the potential for alt stores in the EU. Wants to bring its storefront to Australia, Brazil, and Japan this year, where they could. It has had notable growth since the DMA opened up competition in the App Store space. The startup offers its own third-party apps led by the video game emulator Delta. It began adding other third-party apps in June 2024. Partnered with Epic Games in August. That's why you probably have heard of them. So bring Fortnite and other games to AltStore Pal. Again, developing self-published apps for free. Yeah. So it's got momentum. I don't know how long third-party app stores will have momentum, but as long as they do, it's probably a good bet. Prime Day deals, meh. iOS 26.1 public beta, 2. Nano Banana, still kicking. I'm having fun on Sora. Even after my complaining about it yesterday. I am not using it as much as I was. Maybe that's the idea, is to keep me from overdoing it. I'm still doing some fun things on there. And I'm seeing more people start using Sora and doing a lot of fun things on them there too. Does anybody know what that Nintendo short is? This Nintendo, goes full Pixar and animated short film called Close to You. The two major theories are that it's Super Mario Galaxy and this is Princess Rosalina, or that it's a Pikmin thing. You tell me. Best laptop deals. Deals. New firmware. Deals. Apple Arcade. Deals. All right, let's take a look at Tech Meme, see what they're talking about. Oh, it's Dev Day. Spoke in vague terms about the family of devices under development. It will take a while. I'm sure you could make a big deal out of like, we thought it was just going to be one device. They said a family of devices. They were always developing more than one device. It's the first device that everybody's talking about. But I can't imagine they're only working on one device. I still haven't been able to make apps work inside ChatGPT. It's one of those things where they make the announcement and then it rolls out slowly, and I'm always at the end of the line, it seems like. Still talking about Dev Day stuff here. Still talking about, all the deals. Ben Thompson has a Stratechery post about all the deals. He's always got good info. He's worth reading. OpenAI AMD partnership. Yeah, just about. Some people are calling these circular deals. OpenAI spending money with NVIDIA, which then spends money with other people, and then, spends money on OpenAI. And there is some circularity to it, not going to lie. It is easy to say, and therefore it's BS, but it doesn't have to be. If you are thinking that the usage of these tools is going to continue to increase, then the circularity is not a problem. Because circularity is it's not unusual, but you do it when you're sure that demand is there, because the momentum of the market will outpace the circularity, right? It won't be a problem because you'll both keep making more money, and then you won't have to worry about the circularity where I'm paying you to pay me, right? Everything's circular in the grand scheme of things, right? There's only so much money, and it just goes around and around and around. The problem is if OpenAI is part of the bubble, and I say it that way specifically because I think people are getting confused in saying whether there is or is not an AI bubble, that it's all or nothing for everyone. Remember, the dot-com bubble brought you Amazon, Google, Yahoo, which is still around, Netflix. These were all dot-coms, and they're pretty successful today. It's just that we remember all the busts because there were a lot of them. There are always more busts than there are successes. I tend to think OpenAI has a good shot of being the success out of an AI bust. But there's a lot of AI companies, or a lot of companies pretending to be AI out there, trying to get money, trying to get their little corner of stuff that are probably going to go bust. That seems likely. So will we have a bubble pop? Even Sam Altman has said, I don't know, probably. Will it take down OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft, NVIDIA? Probably not. My guess is that these tools are good enough at certain things. And again, I think people get confused because there's a lot of people saying these tools are good at things that they're not. And they go, well, see, these things are useless. And it's like, yeah, but they're actually really good at this other stuff that doesn't get as much buzz. And that might be enough to carry them through. Anyway, we are all just prisoners here of our own device. What will be the next thing after AI? Man, nobody knows. Could be quantum, could be autonomous, could be something we don't even know what it is yet, right? We didn't really think, I guess AI existed. Could be virtual. Usually the next thing is a thing that already exists, but it takes a new form. It takes an unexpected form. I don't think anyone thought chatbots, that's where AI will finally become popular, but here we are. I don't think anyone thought smartphones, that's how apps will become popular, but here we are. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just lost in thought there. Tesla abandoned Elon Musk's goal to make thousands of Optimus robots. We touched on this on DTNS. Honestly, it's not, to me, it's like, shocker, but there you go. Altstar, yeah, we talked about that on the Google News. Mastodon plans to add Blue Sky-like starter packs to suggest accounts to follow new users. But in the Mastodon implementation of this, you will be able to opt out of being in a starter pack. You can say like, I could say, don't put me in the tech startup pack, please. I don't want to be in a startup pack. If I wanted to, I probably won't do that, but I could. Talked about the Arduino thing on DTNS today. We talked about this too, and I'm going to talk about it on Cord Killers as well. California has signed into law a law that bans the ads being louder than the other videos. It does not actually ban excessively loud ads. It bans ads from being loud. If you have excessively loud content, you can have excessively loud ads, I guess. But the way it's phrased is your ads can't be louder than the other content that you're delivering. It's a pretty short bill, honestly. I was shocked when I went to read it. I was like, wait, this is it? Because it says you can't do that. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pull up this bill. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it really fast, because it's crazy how short it is. Politico doesn't link to it. Okay. Where's TechCrunch? I know TechCrunch did. All right, here. Oh no, I stopped sharing. I hit the wrong thing. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So sign the law. And then this is the press release. But it's SB 756. So let me copy that. All right. And then I have to search for SB 7576. This is how journalism works. Senate Bill 576. All right. Today's law as amended. Is this the past version? Actually, this might be the past version. But still, look, that's it. That's it. Video programming has the same meaning as this other part of the U.S. code. It saved them a lot of trouble right there. Video streaming service means an entity that makes available directly to the consumer through a distribution method that uses internet protocol, either video programming or video content the entity makes available for users to view. I don't know what the difference between those two are legally. Video programming or video content that the entity makes available for users to view. Apparently there's a difference though. Video streaming service does not include a television broadcast station, cable operator, or other multi-channel video programming distributor, or an entity that serves video programming or video content without commercial advertisements. The reason that's there is there's already a federal law in the U.S. for TV, cable, and multi-channel. And if you don't serve commercials, well, then this bill wouldn't make any sense. I don't even know why they had to put that part in, but I guess legally it's always good to be clear. Anyway, here's the crux of the bill. That's just the definitions. On or after July 1st, 2026, a video streaming service that serves consumers residing in the state of California shall not transmit the audio of commercial advertisements louder than the video content the advertisements accompany. That's it. That's the nut of the law. Pretty simple. You can't transmit the audio of your commercial ads louder than the content, the rest of the stuff. Consistent with the regulations adopted by the FCC pursuant to the Commercial Advertisement Loudness Mitigation Act, Public Law 111-311. That's one of the reasons they could keep this so short, is they're like, you can go look at that law for all the rest of the details. And then they added this. This chapter does not create a private right of action. That stops you from being able to sue Disney Plus or Disney because your Disney Plus ads seem too loud. It means that only the state can punish Disney for Disney Plus ads being too loud, or any service. That's right. So there you go. See, that's one of the things I have to do in the morning when I do these write-ups is I can't just, some people are like, oh, you just look at what's already there. I could read it myself. I'm like, yeah, but I do more than that. I go and I look up the bill and I'm like, is that exactly what it says? What does it exactly say? Let's quote what it exactly says. Ken Wharf 04 says, I think for a while they found if they compressed the audio, the level was okay until it got uncompressed or something to that effect. There was some stuff about dynamic range where they let the dynamic range of the commercials be wider. And so they stood out more, even though they technically weren't louder than the rest of the content. Yes, however, that doesn't mean that the podcast levels are done properly. You've already listened to the editor's desk, haven't you, Howard? Well, we're doing our best. And nor does it, well, no, it does. It only applies to video. So we're safe. Whew. I was worried. I actually talk about the podcast levels in the editor's desk. Oh, that's funny. He hasn't even listened to that yet. But there you go. And it only applies to California. But again, we'll talk about this on Cord Killers today. But when you're a company that's already trying to solve this problem, which they are, they're going to have to hurry up now and solve it instead of dragging their feet. But they're feeling the public pressure, so they would like to solve it. You're not going to solve it and then gatekeep it on California IP addresses. That would be harder than the solution. You're just going to solve it for everybody. All right. I think that about does it for the office hours today. Any other Q&A? Any other questions in the chat? It's been good seeing you guys chat. Hope the Substack thing actually worked. I didn't check. Should I check? I should probably check. dtns.substack.com. Oh, yeah, I typed it wrong. Not SDTNS. There we go. Yeah, there I am right up on the top. dtns.substack.com. Hi, everybody on Substack. There are 8 of you watching on Substack. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and there is a live chat, but no one's in it. Well, now I know. It's that easy to get to. All right. Good to know. There should be a Mexican restaurant chain called Tacos, Tacos, Tacos. Okay, G. James B. You said it. It will happen. I'm a Bill. Yes, I'm only a Bill. Should I make myself a coffee? Asks Zoe Brings Bacon. The answer is yes. G. Peg 84 explains that G. James B likes tacos. Nick with C says, let's taco about it. Fred with an actual question. There is one called Los Tacos number 1. Thank you, G-Bag. Fred says, are you considering dropping Twitch at some point? Not really. No, it is not, it is no trouble to stream to Twitch. So I don't see any reason to stop streaming to Twitch. It has dwindled in its contribution to our numbers over the years. I'm not exactly sure why, but no, I don't think we'll drop it. Certainly the live audience tends to be dominated by it. So even if more people watch YouTube on demand or by a lot listen to podcasts on demand, the live audience, I think out of habit, tends to be on Twitch more often than not. Ken Warfo4 says, I just made coffee. Come on over. Zoe, go on over. What? G. James B says he's not really a big fan of tacos. What is wrong with you? TX3. Some people talk about tacos. Other people talk about tacos. And some people even talk about tacos. But we're the only ones who talk about todos. StreamYard makes it easier to stream. Yeah, exactly. Like I would have to work to stop streaming on Twitch. I'd have to remember not to click it, you know. I think we'll stay on Twitch. Hopefully it, gets more popular. I'm actually going to talk with Joe today about our video strategy and stuff like that. D. James B is more of a burrito fan. I never would have guessed that of you. Larry in Atlanta had tacos last night. Oh, today is International Taco Day and Taco Tuesday. Maybe that's why tacos are on your brain, huh? Yeah. Bacon in your tacos. Hablamos todos tres. Nick with a C prefers Twitch because the website UI is better than YouTube's. In Nick with a C's opinion, of course. Let's see. International Taco Day. Let me see if I can find a citation for this before I go off. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Zoe. It's just National Taco Day. Yep. Just National Taco Day. So sadly, I'm not sure that it applies to all nations. Okay, this is hilarious. Because these things are always made up by companies who want to sell you stuff, right? International Donut Day is always Dunkin' Donuts. National Taco Day from Taco Bell. But Baja Fresh is in on it. Bubba Coos Burritos is in on it. Chef Merito is in on it. Condado Tacos, Chronic Taco, Chewy's, Del Taco, El Pollo Loco, Fuzzy's Taco Shop, Jack in the Box, known for their tacos. Laredo Taco Company, Margarita's Mexican Grill, Moe's Southwest Grill, Ojos Locos Sports Cantina, Old El Paso, Rusty Taco, Taco Deli, of course, Taco Bell, Taco Cabana, Taco John's, The Green Turtle, Tocaya, Toll House Cookie Taco Kits, Twin Peaks, Velvet Tacos, Zaxby's. International Taco Day, or National Taco Day. There you go. Happy National Taco Day, everybody. You can use a VPN to celebrate National Taco Day, says Stealth Dave. See, that's a great idea. Hooray for the tacos. All right. Thanks everybody for being here, being the best, being a supporter. Patreon.com/DTNS. We'll see ya. I'll see you on Cord Killers in just about 40 minutes or so. If you head on over to the Modern Rogue YouTube channel or the Night Attack Twitch channel, I'll see you there. Otherwise, talk to you on DTNS tomorrow morning and then see you on DTNS Live on Thursday. Bye, everybody.